Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the ARC Team's Visa Steps for USA. So these are visa steps for candidates from the USA. I'm Cal, and I'll step you through this process. If you're not from the USA and you want to get the visa steps for your country, look in the description below. And we also have visa steps for Canada, the UK, Ireland, New Zealand, Australia, and South Africa. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is take a basic look at the full procedure. So step one is notarization of degree, criminal background record check, and TEFL certificate. Step two is authentication of degree, criminal background check, and TEFL certificate with your Secretary of State. Step three is authentication of degree, criminal background check, and TEFL certification with the Chinese consulate. Step four, send the documents to the school. And then step five, the final step, receive the necessary documents from the school and then use them to apply for your Z or working visa. So this is a basic outline of the procedure of getting the work visa. But what we're going to do now is take a look at each step a little bit more closely. So, step one, complete a government background record check. So, the approximate timeline for this is 1 or 2 weeks. This time could go up significantly past 2 weeks, but I'll explain a little bit more about that towards the end. This on the right here is basically what the criminal background record check in the US looks like. So basically, the documentation that you need to get your background record check is your ID, and then that's it. Some states require some other documentation, so check with your local police station for your state's policy. But most states, all they require is ID, and then they can run a criminal background record check. So the approximate cost of this is about $20. But there are some things to note about this procedure in the US that are pretty much exclusive to the US. So a criminal background record check can be conducted at a local and state level or at federal level, like a countrywide level. The local level should be enough for most cities. If you complete a federal check, it is more thorough, it checks the whole country, but it can take up to 10 weeks and it's significantly more expensive. So we would recommend going with a local state-based criminal background record check. Double check with the city that you're going to, double check with the school and the HR team there that the local level criminal background record check would be enough. But like I said, for the vast majority of cities, it is enough. It's cheaper and it saves significant amounts of time. So, step two, notarize a copy of your check. So you've got your background record check now, get your bachelor's degree out, and then we're going to get it notarized. So the approximate timeline for this is same day. You should be able to take your degree and your background check and get them notarized and get it back within the same day. So these two things that I've just dropped in here, these are examples of notary stamps. So once your things have been notarized, they'll have some kind of seal like this on it. Obviously they won't look exactly like this because it will depend on the notary office that you use, but it'll look something like this. So the documentation that you need your original degree, you need your original background record check, you need one colour photocopy of your degree, and you need your ID, so your passport. The approximate cost, it should cost less than $100. This will hugely depend on the notary that you use, so do a bit of research, shop around, see if you can get one that's maybe a little bit cheaper than that. So things to note here, this can be done at any local public notary office, with any lawyer, with any solicitor, and at most local banks as well. When the degree and the background record check are notarized, they must be notarized as a true copy. Okay, so the notarization stamp must have those words on it, true copy. Stamps of notarization may vary from place to place, like I already said, but a couple of examples can be seen on the right. Some cities in China do require the TEFL to be notarized, but not all of them. So check with your city, check with the HR team in the school. find out if you need your TEFL degree to your TEFL certification to be notarized, and if you do, get it notarized during this step as well. Pretty simple, just take that along with your degree and your background record check. It's a third document and they can notarize it as well. So, step 3, authenticate documents with the Secretary of State. So the timeline for this, it can be anywhere from 1 day to 3 weeks, and I'll tell you a little bit about why there's such a big difference in the timing there. So the documentation that you need for this part is the authentication request form, a notarized copy of your degree, your original degree, your original copy of your police check, the notarized copy of your police check and your ID. Your original copy of your police check and your notarized copy of your police check should be the same one, so you should only have one, but if you have two, take both. The approximate cost of this is $8 per document, and some things to note about this part. This application can be submitted in person and completed in the same day. So if you live close to your Secretary of State, take it in and get it done on the same day. If you don't live close and you have to do it by mail, it can be done by mail, but you need to expect to wait 1 to 3 weeks to get it back. And the courier fee, if done by mail, is usually $40. So it takes more time and it costs more money to do it by mail. So obviously, if you can submit it in person, that would be the ideal way of doing it. And then this document that's on the right-hand side of the slide here, that is what it will look like. That is what the authentication certificate looks like. Okay, so step 4. Authenticate your legalized degree and police check with the Chinese consulate. So, approximate timeline for this is 4 working days. This thing that's just dropped in here, this is what the seal or the stamp of authentication from the Chinese consulate looks like. So when you get all your documents back for the Chinese consulate, it will have this sticker on all of the documents. So the documentation that you need to start this process, you need the authentication application form, which can be found on the consulate website. Just search for it in Google. A notarized and legalized copy of your degree, which we've done in the 2 steps before. Your original degree. A notarized and legalized copy of your background check, which we've done in the step before. And then your ID or a copy of your ID. Obviously, as mentioned before, some cities require TEFL to be authenticated as well. If that's the case, you just add TEFL to all of the last 3 steps. So the approximate cost is $25. And things to note about this, it can be submitted in person and will be returned in 4 days. There's no need to make an appointment. You can just take your documents in with the filled in application form that you get from the website, hand it in, and then you get it back in 4 days' time. If you do it through a visa agent, so maybe you don't live near a consulate, you don't live within travelling distance of a consulate, if you do it through a visa agent, expect to wait up to 1 week, 7 days before you get your stuff back. There is a next day and a rush service available for an additional cost, and all authenticated documents will contain that seal on the right, like I already said. Okay, so step 5, email documents to the school. So, the approximate timeline for this, the email, obviously you can scan your documents and send it in the same day. The day you get it back from the Chinese consulate, get your stuff scanned in and send it along. Then you'll receive an invitation letter that looks like this or something like this. It will have this red stamp that you can see here on it. You'll receive that invitation letter in the post within 2 to 8 weeks. This time varies hugely depending on the city and the local government in the city. So some cities it comes within 2 weeks, some it takes up to 2 months. Keep in contact with the HR team at the school. Keep in contact with the city and anybody in that city, and they'll be able to keep you updated on that process and tell you how long it's going to be, when it's been sent out, send you tracking numbers, stuff like that. So the documentation that you need to scan and send to the school, your authenticated copy of your degree, so that is notarized, Secretary of State, then Chinese consulate authentication, authenticated copy of your police check, which we've mentioned before, copy of your passport page, a professional headshot photo, so something like a passport photo, preferably with a white background, TEFL certificate, and if it's the case that needs to be authenticated and notarized and authenticated with the Chinese government as well, send that away. A signed copy of a medical disclosure form. I'm going to post another video in the description below that goes a little bit more in detail about what exactly you need from your medical. But a signed copy of that form, a full copy of your CV, and then a photocopy of your reference letter written by your most recent employer on company-headed paper. So the approximate cost for this is free. You're just scanning it and emailing it over. Once all of these documents have been provided to the school, the HR team in that school can begin processing the documents needed to obtain the work visa, which means the invitation letter and work permit and stuff like that, and then get that sent out to you. And then finally, the last step, step 6, applying for the Z visa, the work visa. So the approximate timeline for this is 4 to 7 working days. This is what the Z visa looks like. So once you get your passport back, this will be stuck inside it somewhere. The documentation that you need for this part, basically all your documents from the previous stage. So you need your authenticated, notarized degree, criminal background record check, TEFL certificate if it needs to be authenticated. You need your passport. You need the documents that the school sends over to you from the previous step. And all the other things, your CV, your reference letter, all that stuff needs to be provided. The approximate cost of this is $140 plus an agency fee. And things to note about this part of the process, all documents should be taken to the Chinese consulate in person or through a third-party agent. If you do it in person, obviously there'll be no agency fee, so it'll work out a little bit cheaper, but I understand that obviously not everybody lives close to a Chinese consulate, so you might need to use an agent. There is a rush service that can be done for $170 as well if you're in a particular rush to get the visa. But standard procedure is $140 plus agency fee, and it takes 4 working days to process. Okay, so that's it. Thank you for paying attention. As always, if you have any comments or any suggestions, or you've been through the process and you want to tell us a little bit about your experience with it, leave a comment below. If you've got any further questions or you want to send a resume or anything to us, then the email address is here, frarc@ef.com. Send your stuff over and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks again, and I hope to speak to you soon.